Most people never live their own lives. They perform them. Not on stages, in kitchens, in group chats, in the careful pause before they say something honest, and then don't. Nietzsche saw this not as a personal failure, but as a civilizational disease. The slow replacement of a real self with a curated one. And he issued a warning that most people are still not ready to hear. When you need the audience to feel real, you have already lost yourself. That is what this video is about. Part 1, the crowd you cannot see. Nietzsche identified what he called the herd instinct, the deep biological drive to belong, to conform, to be recognized by the group. He was not condemning it, he was naming it. Because you cannot escape a cage you refuse to see. We live now inside the most sophisticated approval machine ever built. Every platform, every notification, every view count is a numerical answer to the question humans have always been asking in the dark. Do I matter? Nietzsche would not have been surprised by any of it. He understood that the desire for recognition is not vanity. It is survival software, ancient, powerful, and in the modern world, catastrophically misfiring. Because the same instinct that once kept you safe inside the tribe is now keeping you small inside your own life. Every time you soften the truth so it lands better, every time you perform a reaction instead of having one, every time you share something, not because it matters to you, but because you want it seen, you are feeding the machine, and the machine feeds on you. Nietzsche called this a form of slavery, not the dramatic kind, the quiet kind, the kind where the chains are invisible, because you forged them yourself. Part 2, the split. Here's what nobody talks about. The performance does not just cost you authenticity, it costs you energy. Cognitive, emotional, biological energy, burned continuously to manage a gap between who you are and who you are showing. One part of you is living, another is watching and adjusting. One part of you feels something, another immediately calculates how that feeling will be received. One part of you wants to speak honestly, another asks, how will this land? That split is exhausting. It is why so many people feel depleted even when nothing dramatic is happening. They are not living one life. They are running two simultaneously. The real one and the performed one. And the performed one never sleeps. Nietzsche was precise about this. He wrote that most men are not even acquainted with themselves. They have never been alone with themselves long enough to find out who is actually there. The performance fills every silence. The crowd occupies every room. And in that noise, the self goes quiet, then absent, then forgotten. Part 3, disappearance as power. This is where Nietzsche becomes dangerous. Because his solution is not therapy. It is not journaling. It is not a 12-step program toward authenticity. His solution is radical. Stop performing. Withdraw from the approval economy entirely. Not from the world, from your need to be seen by it. He called this becoming who you are. Not who the crowd rewards, not who looks impressive at the table, not the polished version constructed from other people's expectations. The thing that remains when every performance is stripped away and nobody is watching. That is terrifying. Because for most people, when the performance stops, nothing is immediately there. The silence is uncomfortable. The absence of feedback feels like failure. And so they return to performing. Because the crowd's attention, even when it costs everything, at least feels like something. Nietzsche's Zarathustra does not descend from the mountain because he needs the crowd. He descends because he is overflowing. full of something that has nothing to do with their approval. That distinction is the entire difference between a man who leads and a man who performs leadership.
Part 4. What disappearance actually does. Here is the paradox Nietzsche understood, that no self-help framework will give you. The moment you genuinely stop needing to be seen, the moment the approval hunger actually dies, your presence becomes heavier, not lighter. People feel this. They cannot name it. They call it confidence, charisma, gravity. It is none of those things. It is simply the absence of need. A man who does not require your validation is not performing for you, and you feel it instantly. There is nothing to manipulate, nothing to leverage. The usual social tools slide off him because they require a gap between his real self and his presented self, and that gap no longer exists. His words carry weight because they are not calculated. His silence carries weight because it is not strategic. His presence carries weight because it belongs entirely to him. That is not a technique. That is what Nietzsche meant by power, not dominance, not loudness. The internal sovereignty of a man who has stopped outsourcing his reality to the crowd. Part 5. Where to begin? Stop explaining decisions that require no explanation. Stop correcting every misunderstanding. Let some of them stand. Leave conversations when they are finished, not when they reach a comfortable landing. Say the honest thing once. Do not repeat it for comfort. Let people form incorrect opinions about you without intervening. Let your silence carry its own statement. Begin to notice, moment by moment, where you are performing versus where you are simply being. The gap between those two things is the work. Nietzsche wrote, "The higher man does not go where the masses go, not out of contempt, but because he has somewhere else to be, inside his own life, fully, without needing witnesses to confirm it as real." Stop performing. Start disappearing. Not from the world, from your dependence on it. That is where your actual life begins. If this opened something, subscribe. And leave one word in the comments if you are ready to stop. Disappear.